What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Dirty Degens. I'm your host, Josh, and tonight I had to do this super late episode live stream because there was actually quite an eventful day, and we're actually gearing up for something that looks pretty spectacular. So I had to do a live stream, jump into it with you all. I'm finally back on X, but most importantly, I want you over on YouTube. So if you need that link, I can give it to you. But let's go ahead and dive right in because that's what's important. So, starting off, we actually do have Bitcoin holding on right around where we were this morning. It really hasn't moved, which is a good thing considering it went through kind of a little bit of volatility this afternoon due to Powell speaking, but it recovered. So, didn't end up too bad. We're still down like 1,000 points from our peak today, but overall, not a big impact. What did Powell say, though, that really had an impact on the market was he indicated that tariffs could potentially pose a challenge for the Fed in controlling inflation and boosting growth. Ultimately, he wants to see stability in the market overall for him to start to cut rates, right? That's what we all want to see. We want to see QE go into full effect and we want to see Powell cut rates, but he will not do that while there's so much uncertainty. And that's what he stated. That was literally the word of the day today: uncertainty. He was seeing so much uncertainty in the market that he could not make a decision. So ultimately, he's saying we got to sit back and wait, see what the decision ends up being, and then we'll react. So it was a whole lot of hurry up and wait situation from Powell. He was being quite bearish, but he was also being bullish on crypto overall because he was talking about how legislation and regulation for crypto should be more positive. Stable coins need favorable regulation. So he did actually end up speaking quite a bit of positive towards crypto. Unfortunately, though, overall, when it came to the economy, he was not very happy. But what he did say is that the Fed is ready to pump liquidity into central banks and other countries' central banks, essentially. And those are through swaps. But basically, what he's saying is they do have liquidity on standby to pump into markets. They are ready. If it is needed and it is requested, they're ready to pump the markets. We've seen M2 money supply growing. We're going to talk about that more in this stream, but it goes to show you that liquidity is coming. It's that simple. Liquidity is coming. In terms of tariffs, though, it's been a lot of ups and downs, but Nissan is one that would be heavily impacted because they are a Japanese company and they sell their cars largely in the United States, but they are choosing to max out the capabilities of their United States plant. So hopefully, Japan really wants to play ball with the United States. So we should hopefully see this help the Japanese tariffs and such. We really want to see these tariffs start to ease a bit, calm down, and ultimately that will be better for the economy overall. When there's all this uncertainty and everybody's fighting over what should be right, that is what's going to hurt us. But there is more too. We've also seen cancellations of Chinese freight. So freight trucks or freight ships that are coming into the United States from China that carry Chinese products. We've also seen Temu suspend all United States operations. I don't shop on Temu, but apparently a lot of people do. So that's also been suspended. And this is going to have an impact. You're going to see people flock towards more expensive products, ultimately not buy those products. And that's going to impact inflation and overall the Fed's view of the overall economy. It's not going to be good, but it's going to take a short amount of time for us to get over that speed bump. We're already seeing it start, but it will take some time before we see it fully impact the market. Other than that, I've seen very conflicting reports on this today. They're saying that tariffs have generated 500 million. I've seen that tariffs have generated 21 billion dollars since enacted, but no proof anywhere on what's actually happening. So either tariffs are extremely underperforming or they're doing exactly what Trump said they would do. So it's up in the air. No concrete reports, but I guess one way or another, I guess money's coming in from tariffs, and that's what they ultimately want to see. But when it comes to Bitcoin, this adoption really furthers Bitcoin further than anybody is thinking about. Because when we think about Bitcoin adoption, we think about people buying it, we think about stores accepting it, and things like that. This is the first country in the entire world to actually accept Bitcoin for taxes, for fees, for tickets, everything. It is institutionally accepted by the Panama City government. And this is a country, a small country, very small country, but it is a step in the right direction. And it's not actually just Bitcoin, it's also Ethereum. So don't let me mislead you. It's not just Bitcoin, it's also Ethereum. But there's more. The Bitcoin US versus offshore exchange ratio is flashing bullish. Ultimately, what that means is that the US is starting to buy more than offshore countries, and US is a much larger market. So that means bullish momentum for Bitcoin overall. And we can see that here where we look at the whale accumulation over the last month. This is going back to March right here. If you kind of strike in this dip area here, that's March, and it has been skyrocketing. Smart money. Ultimately, when we're investing and we're buying products, what do you want to do? You want to follow the smart money. And that's exactly what's going on here. Smart money is accumulating, MicroStrategy is accumulating, Metaplanet's accumulating, SMC's accumulating. All these companies and countries that are making the switch, Bhutan, Panama, El Salvador, the list goes on. You've got Hong Kong companies that are now accumulating, more United States companies are accumulating, and that's what smart money is doing. The price may be going down, but now they are going to accumulate more than they ever have before because they see a brighter future. Right now, the economy is in turmoil, and that's why we're seeing price suppression. That's why everybody is buying. It's that simple. It's really actually that simple. And there's more to show too, because the M2 money supply, I've been talking about this for weeks now, since we were back here at the beginning of this bottoming zone. And the M2 money supply is a 12-week lag indicator. You shift the M2 chart back 12 weeks and it lines up perfectly with Bitcoin. So basically, liquidity starts pumping in, it goes to gold, it goes to equity markets, and then it flows out and back into Bitcoin. And it's worked this way for a decade. Now, it doesn't have to, but everything is lining up that way. Bitcoin's bottoming at EMAs. It's lining up with the M2 money supply. Institutions are accumulating at rates not seen in years. It's all lining up to basically be perfection for Bitcoin. And that's really what it's all about. You have to put the pieces together to understand the picture. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. This is why you're able to understand the long term picture. We're not here for a quick dollar, we're here to hopefully make dollars over the long term. And we do that with Bitcoin. And right now, Bitcoin is actually falling in a bull pennant with a breakout target to $137,000. Now, this could be invalidated, whatever, but there's so many charts that say the same thing. This is not the only one. I could bust out 20 different charts that are going to tell you this exact same thing. It's not going to matter. What's going to matter is the results, because in short time, Bitcoin is at a bottoming period, and that's what we need to hold on to. Because in the long term, we're long term Bitcoin holders. That's what we're looking for, right? Like, we know that in 10 years from now, inflation is going to skyrocket another 15%, but Bitcoin's going to go up and more with it. That's the ultimate goal. Now, if Bitcoin in 3 months goes to $135,000, but in 2 years it goes to $300,000, it doesn't matter what Bitcoin did between now and $300,000. So it doesn't matter if Bitcoin hits this 137 this year. It's what Bitcoin's going to do in the long term. The economic turmoil that's going on right now, we cannot control. This can go on for a long, extended period of time because it's country warfare. It's political warfare. We cannot control that. But what we can control is paying attention to smart altcoins, projects that have a long term future. And ultimately, those are projects that have protocols on top of them that generate revenue. Now, I know Solana is super in the dumps, around like $110, but Solana does still have a bright future. It's generating more revenue than any other chain and also more than Ethereum, Base, Avalanche, and others combined. Solana is doing incredible right now. And it came down and it was doing worse, but it's coming back. Part of that is due to Radium. Radium is a major DEX on Solana. And now what they're doing though is they're launching a launchpad. They broke away from Pump.Fun and they're doing a launchpad. I don't agree with the launchpads. They're good for the space, they're bad for the space. No matter how you look at them, you can look at them one way or another. But what it does do is it brings activity and revenue to the chain, ultimately to the chain and to a successful chain. That's what matters more than anything. So Radium doing that, because what Pump Fund did is they brought it all in house. They were going to eat all those fees. Solana made it optional whether or not you share fees and all those things. So Radium is doing it a different way. And whether or not I agree with it, it doesn't matter. Point is it's going to bring revenue into Solana. That's what matters here. But Solana is doing more than that because we've seen the exodus from Solana, right? We had the Trump launch, we had the Melania launch, and then kind of Solana started to be exodus. Well, everybody started to flee away from Solana. But we're starting to see that change in the last few weeks here. This is the Solana share, and we're seeing it flow back into Solana. So Ethereum's getting smaller, all these other chains are getting smaller, and we're starting to see volume and activity flow back into Solana. Ultimately, what you want to do when you're trying to make money in the space is follow the money. If you're not following the money, you're making incorrect guesses because you can't make money on a chain that has no activity. You can't make money holding a chain that has no revenue. That's why we're looking at Solana. And it's actually in a great spot. 110. I'm not giving financial advice. I'm just sharing my opinions, by the way. But Solana in the last week has processed 355 million transactions and generated more fees than Ethereum and other leading DEXs for the last 4 days. So Solana has done more than Ethereum, Base, Binance, and Arbitrum. And that's not combined, but close. And it goes to show you how many people are coming back to Solana. Solana is way cheaper than Ethereum, way cheaper than Base, and actually way cheaper than BSC to transact on. Arbitrum is pretty cheap. It's cheaper than Base for sure, but still way cheaper than Arbitrum as well. So if they're able to generate that much revenue and that much fees, it tells you how many people are there utilizing the platform, paying attention, right? You want to follow where the money is. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we're buying these projects so we can accumulate more Bitcoin. At least I'm talking on my behalf. That's what I'm doing. I'm buying meme coins. I'm buying altcoins. I'm buying shit coins, RWAs, whatever you may say it. I'm buying them so that I can ultimately stack up my Bitcoin pile. And Solana is one of the newest chains. Swede's done it recently too, but it's still being developed. But Solana is one of the recent chains that actually has an active growing Bitcoin DeFi infrastructure where you can have good yields. So I'm starting to pay attention to that as well. This is going to turn a lot of people off. I know that. That's fine. It's not for everybody, but you can stake Bitcoin versus USDC. So that's a stable pair and gain 58% APY. If you've got Bitcoin sitting around and you're willing to put it on chain, that's an option. Again, here on Radium, you can do the same thing. Bitcoin to USDC, 103% APY. This is money-making opportunity. You're going to hold the Bitcoin anyways. You're holding it against a stable coin. So it's something like USDC, it's going to stay pegged to $1, right? We're not picking some algorithmic stable coin that is risking that peg. So there are opportunities as well to use the Bitcoin that we're holding and that we don't plan on trading, we don't want to risk, and use them in reputable protocols to gain APY. something to think about, right? I've been thinking about doing it. I've done it on a couple different platforms now, and I'm hoping it turns out well. So yeah, hopefully it turns out well. But these APYs are very attractive. The Bitcoin DeFi infrastructure is growing, and it's growing first and foremost on Solana. So it's something I'm definitely paying attention to. But we recently had Avalanche also launch their Solana or their Avalanche debit card. So you can send USDC to it, you can send AVAX to it, whatever. You can swipe it at the checkout. And now SolLayer has done that same thing for Solana. And it's a non-custodial card. I applied for it. We'll see if I get approved for it. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Also, OpenSea has been the king of NFT marketplaces for quite a while now. Magic Eden stole the thunder for quite a while now, too. But OpenSea is trying to make their statement, get back into the space. So they did actually add Solana. What's interesting, though, about this is you can go on there and you can actually bridge for free, essentially. You can swap Ethereum for Solana and it'll be on Solana. So that's pretty cool. I don't really care about NFTs, to be honest, but it's pretty cool that you can do that. Pretty cool for sure. Other than that, that's all I've got to talk about. If anybody has any questions, anything they want to discuss, I'm fully open. This is my first time back on X in quite a while. Otherwise, I'm going live at 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time in the morning. It is 11:15 p.m. right now. So, few hours from now, I'll be live again. Stephen Harding says, I don't want to follow. I want to be there before them. Sounds good to me. I don't know if you're saying like you don't want to follow me, but if you don't want to follow me, that's okay too. I don't care. Otherwise, I'm gonna let this go ahead and die out. I hope you had see you then. Yes, I will see you tomorrow morning. On that note, I hope you guys all have a fantastic rest of your evening. I will be back tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time with another market update video. We'll go over different Bitcoin news, altcoin news, and just kind of what's going on and what can be expected. I appreciate you tuning in. If you like the video, smash the like, subscribe to the channel. It helps me more than you can actually believe. I'm just doing this to do it because I love it. This is my 5th time going live today. So smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time. Peace.